Hey everyone, and welcome. So today, we are going to break down one of the most useful and honestly straightforward parts of English grammar, the zero conditional. It's all about things that are absolutely certain, and trust me, by the end of this, you're going to have it down pat. All right, to get our heads around this, let's kick things off with a super simple question. Really think about it. If you take a chunk of ice and you start to warm it up, what happens? What's the one inevitable result? Yeah, it's pretty obvious, right? It melts. And that's not a maybe, it's a 100% guarantee. It happens every single time. And that right there, that certainty, is the core idea we're talking about today. So, this nifty grammar rule actually has a name, the zero conditional. We use it for stuff that is 100% guaranteed to happen if a certain condition is met. We're not talking about possibilities or what-ifs here. We're talking scientific facts, basic rules, or even just those habits you have that are totally predictable. Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start with a basic formula, then we'll see how you can change the order of the sentence. After that, we'll get into real-world uses and how to give instructions, cover some questions and negatives, and then we'll wrap it all up with a quick quiz. All right, let's jump in. All right, first things first, let's look at the basic formula. This is the super simple structure that makes the whole thing tick. Okay, this is the most important part, so listen up. Both parts of the sentence, the if part, the condition, and then the result, they both use the present simple tense. And that's the secret sauce that keeps everything locked into facts and general truths. Simple as that. And you can see this perfectly in these examples. Take a look. If you heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. That's just science. If you drop an apple, it falls. Yep, that's gravity for you. Can't argue with that. The point is, these results don't change. They are always true. Okay, so now that we've got the basics, let's see how we can switch things up a little bit, add some flexibility without actually changing the meaning at all. So check this out. You can actually start with the if part, or you can start with the result. The meaning stays exactly the same. The only little thing you need to remember is the comma. If you lead with if, you need a comma to separate the two parts. But if you put the if in the middle of the sentence, you can just get rid of the comma. Easy, right? Now, here's something that's actually pretty cool about the zero conditional. Since we're talking about something that is a total certainty, a guarantee, you can often swap out the word if for when, and it works perfectly. Saying, when you heat ice, it melts, sounds just as natural because the outcome is a sure thing. All right, so you might be thinking, this is great for science class, but what about real life? Well, it turns out we use it all the time. Let's take a look. We use it constantly to talk about our own habits, our personal truths, like if I'm tired, I go to bed early. That's not a maybe. That's just what I do. It's a fact about me. And hey, look at that last one. If I'm driving, see, you can even use the present continuous in that if part for an action that's happening right then. Pretty flexible. This structure is also super useful, especially at work or in any situation where you need to give really clear instructions that leave no room for doubt. You can just imagine a manager saying something like this to their assistant. See, that's not a suggestion. It's a rule, a protocol. The condition is the appointment being late, and the automatic, required action is to let the manager know. And the structure for this is super, super simple. You've got the if part, that's the condition, and then the result is just a command, what we call the imperative. It's just the basic form of the verb. If you feel sick, call a doctor. It's a direct instruction based on a very clear condition. All right, feeling good so far? Let's build on this a little more and look at how we can make questions and negative sentences using the same structure. So if you want to ask a question about one of these general truths, it's really easy. You just use a question word like what, ask about the result, and then pop the if clause at the end. What happens if you mix oil and water? It's a classic way to ask about a guaranteed result. And what about negatives? Well, you've got total flexibility there too. You can put a don't or a doesn't in the condition part, in the result part, or hey, even in both. This is super handy for explaining what always happens when something doesn't happen. Like that last one. If plants don't get light, they don't grow. Makes perfect sense. All right, you've seen the rules, you've seen the examples. I think it's time for a little quiz to see what you've learned. So, how this will work is I'll read out the question, give you a beat to think about it, and then we'll go over the answer. Ready? Let's do it. Okay, question number 1. If you blank water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. What do you think? Which verb tense do we need here? The right answer is B, heat. Yep, it's a scientific fact, so we need that present simple tense in both parts of the sentence. All right, on to number 2. Which one of these sentences is grammatically correct? Pay close attention to the punctuation here. Got an idea? Remember that comma rule? No comma if the if is in the middle. So that means the correct answer is D. Put on a coat if you are cold. Number 3 is up next. If the alarm sounds, blank the elevator. This one is about giving a negative command. What's the right way to say that? And the answer is C, do not use. For a negative command or an imperative, we use do not followed by the verb. Okay, question 4. Blank I am lost, I look at a map. Think about what we said earlier. What words can we use to introduce this kind of personal habit? Remember how we said that when the result is a certainty, if and when can basically do the same job? Well, there you go. The answer is D. Both A and B work here. And here we are, the last question. So, what's the big picture? What is the zero conditional really all about? And of course, the answer has to be D, for talking about general truths and facts. So hey, I'll leave you with this final thought. If you practice this grammar, you get better at English. See? Even that sentence is a perfect zero conditional. Thanks so much for joining me.